we're back. So much coffee.
Nitro brew.
Cheers, coffee.
Cheers to the coffee drinkers out there.
I like a warm coffee in the morning.
I like cold nitro brew.
Although mine is probably about the same.
Mostly because I know what I'm doing.
Mine's probably about the same. Why? Man, I gotta come up with responses quicker. I just want like this.
I know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing.
Nice comeback, Rudy. Good one.
Neptune, be quiet.
Just ruined the whole shot. Way to go, Tune.
Quiet. We're never gonna shoot a successful video or go duck hunting because you're a whiner.
You don't have to.
I wish I could just explain that to you like you were a human.
Why are you saying words to him? Why do we do that?
It's such an easy conversation. Like, hey, dude, you know when you whine? Yeah, it really sucks and no one's going to like us. Okay, I'll stop that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Joe Rogan would be proud of our intro right now.
Yeah.
Except
and
we haven't talked about
we didn't spend 30 minutes trying to sell a bunch of shit.
Yeah, that's
I mean, he does it in a cool way. Ish. As cool as it can be done.
I mean, to be fair, if you can just talk into a little box and people pay you for that, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I listened to one of his, and it was like the first 30 minutes, like some brand of jeans.
Yeah.
It's like, no offense, dude. I'm not. But when I want some jeans, I'm not gonna come to Joe Rogan. Like, hey, Joe, what? You know what I mean?
He does have a pretty nice ass, though.
What does that got to do with what kind of jeans he wears?
I don't know. What are we? Technique.
Oh,
Sweet. Should I do a better intro for that or something?
technique.
When you show them the mic cord, it loses the magic.
The files are in the computer. I don't know, dude.
Are you doing mouth warming up exercises?
To be fair, I woke up like approximately 13 seconds ago, and the coffee hasn't kicked in yet, and Neptune's whining. All right, Neptune's under the table now because apparently we negotiate with terrorists. That's where he wants to be.
Good job, Bin Laden. Way to go. Could we call him that?
We should call him the guy that we just blew up with a drone. Is that too
general
soon?
guy?
Is that too soon? Is that
Probably.
whatever? That guy.
I don't. You. Why? I can't say it. I can't say the F word, but you can. I don't. This is what sort of backwards fucking pageantry is this?
What does that word mean anyway? Pageantry. All joking aside.
I have no idea.
I feel like you used it right.
I did. It's from Letterkenny. It's a Letterkenny reference. It's my favorite. One of my all-time favorite movie, TV references, and I'm always trying to find a place to put it.
Is your coffee kicking in yet?
You're supposed to say that's what she said.
Oh, well, I blacked out.
Oh,
Sometimes when you talk,
yeah.
I black out.
No, my coffee.
Like when you talk about
Here we go. Weightlifting. Competition.
Well, not weightlifting. When you talk about competitive weightlifting. Or competitive fitness.
Competition.
And sometimes, I gotta be honest, it's just like the natural tone of your voice. It's soothing though, you know.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
Yeah, It's soothing. Like maybe I could get maybe we can market of dap.
Oh,
that was the whitest shit ever. Not because of me. He fucked that up.
No, it wasn't my fault.
Maybe we could do a Rudy Nielsen ambient sound, and you could just be like in the background going, "Oh, 1987 when
no, don't compare me. Don't do the Louis Simmons comparison. Don't do it.
Oh, that was an unintentional Louis Simmons comparison.
Chuck Vogel.
The first CrossFit Games in 1913.
Chuck. It's only 10 years ago. Well, okay, a little more, but Chuck Vogel.
Neptune, be quiet.
Pull 700-pound deadlift. All right, I could do it.
They probably don't. Most of them don't
nobody
know
knows
who Louis Simmons is.
That's my Louis. It's the only impression I do well. Really. Come back, Bin Laden. Oh my! The camera. 8 minutes and nothing. And he just wants to be on camera.
All right, so we're 9 minutes in, we have no usable content.
None. If Amanda were to edit approximately 38 seconds of it,
Yeah.
we'd probably be good.
Probably be good. But on the positive front, my coffee's kicking in. So
Oh,
God, that is terrible.
so bad. I'm trying.
I'll work with them, guys. All right. It's a good segue into the importance of technique.
Have you
Coffee's
written
a
a
good.
segue?
What?
Segue?
Oh God! Stop. Okay.
Oh, now this guy's the serious
The coffee's in.
Okay.
Okay. Technique. Ready?
Break.
Go. You start.
I have to start. I thought you were doing the intro right
Rudy,
there.
how important is technique?
It's very important. Podcast done. Video over. There it is, Amanda. You got 13 seconds.
You're welcome.
No, so we wanted to talk about technique because the discussion always tends to be about weightlifting when it comes to technique and how important it is for your athletes, for your or if you are an athlete, to really kind of hone and work on. And then there's another discussion there about, you know, if you're doing a workout, should you just try and get through it, or should you slow down? Should we be working on things all the time? Basically, should we be trying to hone technique? And we talked about this before, sort of the hierarchy of movement, and the reason that weightlifting and gymnastics are at the top of that hierarchy is because they're the sort of the highest degree of difficulty, aka they need the most technique to be proficient at or be any good at. But that trickles down to everything else, and I really wanted to address sort of the other things, right? Not just the two superstars in the room.
I actually would too.
Yeah. So what's your like approach with your coaching staff as far as like are they going to just stop somebody if they look like a monkey doing carnal things to a football, or what?
That's a great question. So, in our coaches' developmental meetings, believe it or not, we do put a fair amount of time into planning or scheduling and conducting coaches' developmental meetings. But we spend a really small amount of time talking about technique and cues, which is kind of counter to what a lot of the coaches think is going to be the subject matter. So we actually spend most of our time in those meetings talking about methods of communication. And so when it comes to technique, though, the official policy at our gym is like, hey, look, if you're coaching and you see somebody doing something that's, you know, severely rounding their back, right? Something
injurious.
Something that could lead to, you know, immediate injury, right? It's like, hey, you know, stop them. But even then, what we spend our time talking to our coaches about is, even in that scenario, what that really is an opportunity to turn towards your athlete, right?
Right.
So for all the coaches out there, just to add a layer to this whole conversation of technique. The
squeaky wheel gets the most.
Right, because if we're talking about technique, what are we really talking about, right? The opportunity to coach. Right. So when you have that opportunity to coach, even if it's somebody doing something egregious, right, the natural reaction is like, you know, oh, the cortisol jumps up, adrenaline jumps up, because you know as a coach and with a trained eye how bad, and you rush over. But you got to keep in mind, man, that person that you're going to coach has no idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of times especially if it's something that needs immediate attention, they're brand new, right? So it's kind of like when you're dealing with your kids or someone in a very vulnerable state, right?
Or dogs.
Like if you rush up and you're super aggressive and maybe even a little angry about it, not angry at them, but just, you know, just hyped up about the situation, you know, that could very potentially be the scenario that turns them away from. Right. So it's an opportunity to turn towards them. So deep breath and like come over and say, you know, now if it's something that's not severe, like a rounded back, or I don't know, what's another good example of a pretty severe technique flaw that could lead to immediate injury?
Yeah.
Rounded back.
Any sort of anything squat pattern wise, like knees caving,
up on their toes when they're squatting with heavier weight,
like that.
Yeah. So you see that situation, right? And if it's not something that severe, what we suggest our coaches to do is lead with a question. So the first thing is, hey, what are you feeling in that squat or in that, and give them a chance to explore that. Oh, I never really thought about that. Huh? Where are you feeling? But if it is something that could lead to immediate injuries, okay, would you need to be a little bit more proactive than that? And you come up and say, hey, can you put the bar down for a second? Just smile on your face. You still want to make it a positive experience, right? Because it is part of the learning curve. So anyway, to all you coaches out there, head coaches, owners, whatever, what makes someone a great coach isn't being a technique ninja, right? It isn't being a level 99 dungeon master, whatever. Now, obviously, having a trained eye.
Dungeon master. That was a good one.
Obviously, having a trained eye for movement and technique is essential to being great. But that's just the ante to get in the game, right? It's a very redundant skill. A lot of people can develop that eye and understand that technique at a competent level pretty quickly. Now there's guys like Rudy who's been working on his technique eye for 15 years, whatever, been immersed in it. He's good at this, guys, not because he's some kind of savant. I mean, he is a pretty brilliant dude, don't get me wrong. But the real reason, you're welcome. The real reason he's so good at it is because he's been doing it with passion for years, right?
Yeah, it's the hours and hours.
But here's the point I'm getting at, right? So can Rudy coach national level? Does he have the time and the experience and the trained eye to coach a national level Olympic weightlifters? Yeah, he's trained and coached national champions, right? Does it take more than a couple years or the average amount of time that most CrossFit coaches have to be able to develop an eye and a coaching style at that level? Yeah, it takes. But is that who we're coaching in our gyms? No.
Right.
We're trying to coach people at a competency level where they're not only are they not going to get hurt, but they're moving well enough and with enough integrity that they're moving forward, not only just in strength and the amount of weight on the bar, but in their movement patterns and the strength of their joints and their overall wellness. That's a whole different ballgame than being able to coach someone like Wes Kitts or Jared Fleming or whatever the case may be, a national level lifter. It's a whole different time domain, right? So once you reach that threshold of being able to say, hey, that movement has integrity. Now, are you catching on to the fraction of a inch that they're getting open too soon, that could lead to 2.5 more kilos on the bar and a national record? No, you don't need coaches. I would rather have a coach. If I had a choice between a coach like with Rudy's skill, but zero ability to translate that in a way that he's turning towards an athlete, right? Or a coach that had half as well trained an eye, but saw coaching opportunities as just that, as an opportunity to turn towards that athlete, get to know them better, bring them closer to the community. I'm taking choice B every single time, because that's the mission in the gym. Now, if you ask me, hey, if it's between a guy like Rudy with a terrible with zero ability or willingness to turn towards athletes, right? But we're trying to take someone to a national champion level weightlifter. Well, then then I'm putting that guy in the game. Two different scenarios.
Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm actually interested, because I don't know if we've ever directly talked about this or it's been a while. I would like to know your views on, I know how we feel about the lifts, right? There's a major flaw, it needs to be addressed right away in a way that's turning towards the athlete, in a way that's, leaving them time and space to absorb what you're saying, exploring the situation with them a little bit, but address right away nonetheless. Okay, so I actually don't know what your answer is to this. So when it comes to the second tier movements, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we call them?
Yeah. So here's my thing. The thing that's not, the thing that we never talk about, or the thing that's not a highlight focus as far as technique goes, is those second tier things, right? The muscle up, the pull up, the what a handstand push up, whatever you want to sort of go into, mm-hmm. right? The thing that's not the big ticket item, the snatch, whatever. My thing as far as those movements go is you can kind of go down a bad path with this, or at least I usually do with athletes, because I'm overly obsessed with everything being perfect, right? And I think we see this, and I know it's not necessarily our folks, but we see this with competitors, right? The competitors that move the best are the most efficient and use the least amount of potential of stored energy to get the job done, right? And there's a reason that Matt and Tia have won the games however many times now, right?
And Rich before that.
And Matt and Tia are weightlifters, right? Or Tia didn't start as a weightlifter, Matt did, but they have the ability to for those moments that you don't think about as being big technique issues. It's something as simple as like a push press or a kettlebell swing or something like that, or a wall ball, right? We saw this with Rich. Rich still moves like an angel, right? When we had, I was kind of like crazy about this 5 years ago or whenever it was, looking at Rich's lifts with like Coach Pendlay, like, how good of a lifter is this guy? Oh, he's perfect, pretty much, right? And
that's what he said.
Yeah, he's like, his technique is 99% as good as a world level lifter,
right?
In nanos, right? And God, this guy. Now my formerly annoying dog is being annoying again. And those things, again, to rehash, those things trickle down so much. And I think the thing in the gym is like when we have our weightlifting time, right? When you have a coach and he's running the class, weightlifting time, he's like he knows he's got to be there,
right?
To look at everything, every detail, give feedback immediately, blah blah blah. And the place where that sort of, it doesn't fall down. It's not like the coach is being lazy or something like that. But as soon as the clock goes, as soon as we hit go, 3, 2, 1, go, the level of detail, as far as not necessarily coaching, but the level of worrying about it,
attendance,
sort of goes down a little bit. And one of the things that I've always harped on with competitors, whoever I'm working with, is that time is just as important, right? The movements.
So here's the question. Sorry,
no, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, it'll lead me to something else.
Okay. All right. So to wrap it up, real quick, I agree with Rudy. I didn't know how he felt about that. I was like, hey, just let it roll. Now, but this would be my suggestion to the coaches out there, and see what you think about this. With a pretty severe weightlifting flaw, I think it needs to be addressed immediately. Again, in a way that's turning towards the athlete and it makes it a positive experience.
This will be good.
Right? But so say the other scenario, okay, so you got that and you start the clock and you got a bunch of athletes and just toes to bar. Sure, why not? Okay. Just random selection. So Metcon, clock's rolling, they're trying to bust it out. The toes to bar are a little off, like, right? There's a few points of performance on their hollow and arch into the toes to bar that could be addressed. Is that addressed immediately in the middle? Well, so here's my 2 cents, right? If it's in the middle of a workout, they're going for time, they're in the moment, they got the adrenaline, they got the endorphins, you've spent that whole class working, getting warmed up to get to be to that point. That's the stimulus that their body is going to be getting better off of for the next 24 hours. My advice to a coach then, if it's, like I said, it's nothing major, there's a few points of performance, not safety, performance in their hollow and arch, right, that you could clean up, and that over a long, isn't going to really make a difference in any one workout or any 1 week, but over the course of the next whole training cycle, or certainly the next few years, it could potentially lead to an injury, right, after thousands of reps.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's just not super efficient, and that the athlete is at a level of skill and movement that they could assimilate to the points of performance that you're saying. Then my advice is, hey, let them finish the whole wad. Or maybe if there's a 1 minute break between rounds, right? But wait till they're not moving, they're not engaged in the workout, either at the end of the workout or a point, maybe they're resting the workout, and just say, and even then I would say take the time, because you could just rush up and say, here's what I saw. But you're not really cashing in on the full opportunity there. I would say take the time, come up to them after workout, hey, start with start with the overall. Hey, first of all, great job, right? You crushed that. Now, can I ask you a question? Sure. What'd you feel on those toes to bar? You'd be surprised how many times they'll describe. I feel like I get like, oh, that's what I was, and then you let them arrive at that. But say they're oblivious. Oh, they felt pretty good. Okay, I made a few observations. Do you mind if I share them with you? Yeah. And then you give them the points of performance. Then they're like, okay, cool. Now they got the stimulus, they got the feedback, and then the situation's been corrected for it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I nodded the entire time right there, and I disagree completely.
That's fine.
My thing is developing movement pathways. So, take the toe to bar for instance, right? It only takes 200-300 reps to develop a movement pathway, right? And 200 or 300 reps performed poorly, developing that movement pathway, sort of grooving the CNS into that. I don't want to say pathway again. Into that technique. It's going to take us 10 times that long to get it back.
Yeah, but 200 or 300 reps versus 20 or 30 reps.
No, but I'm saying like if my almost obsession and problem, and why to a certain extent I had an issue coaching general population classes is because I have to stop them right away. Right.
And I think again that's the difference between a coach that's calibrated at a extremely competitive level,
but
and a class. So I'm sticking to my guns, and this is I don't know if I know there isn't a right or wrong to this. It's just a personal
right.
But at our gyms in our organization, it's like, hey, now the reality is in most workouts there's either going to be a break worked in, like okay, right. So after 15 reps or a round or whatever, there's a minute rest. Address it then. I mean, the first opportunity. The other reality is, say it's 20 minutes and it's nonstop. They're going to get tired. They're going to take a break, and you come over and just, hey, what are you feeling on those? Would be activate your glutes in the. I'm talking about minor points of performance.
That would be the key, right? Is to be successful with that immediate cueing and immediate fixing, I guess, would be to find a spot where they've dropped off the bar because they're tired or whatever.
Right.
We're just driving toes the bar into the ground right now. Right. But I want to do as much to perfect that movement pathway as possible immediately. And I think where you really see this is your 6-monthers, right?
Yep.
Your committed people that have been with you for a while, and maybe they've always struggled with something. Well, my thing is and I'm sure you'll disagree, but my thing is that the movement is more important than the end goal is more important than the specific moment in time.
No,
right?
Because I agree that the integrity of the movement needs to take precedence.
Because at some point, they're fitted, especially those 3 to 6 month people, or even longer term than that, right? At some point, they're fit enough already. They know what it feels like to do the hard work, whatever, right? And at some point, I need to get them to the next level, right? And their CNS is already kind of at a higher level because they've been doing it a while. I want to stop them and pull them aside.
Yeah.
Right. And the newbies, the people that have just walked in the door less than a month, less than 2 months, like you're only going to get them so perfect unless they're gymnasts, right? Unless they walked in the door perfect already.
Right. So in summation, I think the real takeaway here is we're saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Technique is paramount. Now the decision on whether or not it should be addressed immediately, I think that's a matter of opinion, right? But here's what I think the real takeaway is. The real takeaway is whether you do it real time, right on the spot, like Rudy said, or you wait a minute or until you have a better chance to put in the input where it's not going to disrupt their metcon. I feel like that's a game time decision, per organization or even per coach, or really even per individual situation, right? That you could just trust your gut as a coach that's been doing it for a while. But either way, I think regardless of your exact timing, the real takeaway is when you do it, when you do provide that feedback and information, the real opportunity, right? The canvas with which you're starting with to work is just that, hey, you've noticed some cues, some things that could be better. How you deliver that to your athlete, and how and whether or not you use that as an opportunity to build the coach athlete relationship and bring them closer into your community with that. That's the difference in my mind between a good coach or okay coach and a great coach, is how they work with that opportunity. And we encourage our coaches to use, their own personalities and their own antics and methods to do that.
Their own smiles.
But that's the whole reason they're there, man. That's the opportunity. If everybody moved perfectly, they wouldn't need us, right?
Yeah. And my takeaway on this thing is, it's not the technique importance is not just at the tip of the spear, right? It's not just the weightlifting and the gymnastics and the things that we tend to focus on, but like the efficiency of a kettlebell swing is it's not just as important. It shouldn't take as much time.
But it is reinforcing movement patterns.
Right.
So another thing real quick, and then we gotta roll into other stuff. But if you're a coach out there and you're coaching a whole class, 20 people, and you got all kinds of different levels of abilities and backgrounds and experience, I would invite you to take the pressure off yourself that everybody in there needs to be moving. All 20 people need to be moving perfectly and doing everything exactly right, or you're somehow failing as a coach, right?
But you are.
Or if you're not.
I'm kidding.
Don't even say that shit, dude. So it's to include if the owner walks in, or the head coach, or maybe you are the head coach, or it's just a sense of pride. That's not how well anybody's moving is not at any one point in time is not a reflection on your coaching ability, right? What is a reflection on your coaching ability is the long-term picture, right?
Yeah.
Is, hey, okay, not any one class, but this one member I've been working with for however many years, have they progressed over the long term, right? And how strong is their bond and how positive is their experience with this gym, so that they're going to keep coming. That their long-term wellness and their long-term movement patterns and progression is what's going on in the middle of any one class is just a snapshot, right? You come into a coach and everybody could be moving perfectly. You could be like, oh, that coach it turns out those were just all super experienced members, and that coach actually isn't worth a crap, Or conversely, you come into a class with a coach that's super experienced, a great coach, but he's got a bunch of newbies. It'll say you can't judge the book by the cover or the title page or any one page. So just embrace it as an overall process. And if you've done your best to move everybody forward a little bit in each class, then you've done what you could do as a coach.
Amen.
All right.
Hallelujah.
Now we got to go.
Hallelujah.
Bye-bye. Bye.